Hello, this is Goku 4071. This time, this will be a reply to Confused Matthew's review of Deep Space Nine Season 7, considering that it was the worst of all the seasons. And I don't know if I consider it the worst. I don't know if I consider it the best. All I know is I enjoyed the show as a whole, and I do not think this season was astronomically bad like he says it is. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, first of all is Confused Matthews. This is just a little comment I want to put. I like your videos. You're entertaining. I think you are wrong sometimes, but thus, most of your videos are opinionated. Thus, your opinion, whenever you state something that is opinionated, you are right because you have a right to your opinion. And this is not an attack at you. This is generally just that I disagree with it, and I want to get my opinions out, and so people can hear my opinions and hear another side of things. Now, you say a lot of things, Confused Matthews, and anybody wanting to hear this, I will be talking about Deep Space Nine. I will be ruining the season. I just want to know that there will be some spoilers, complete spoilers here, so be cautious. Now, you say a lot of things, but the first thing I have to say isn't even part of the review of Deep Space Nine Season 7. It has to do with Voyager. And you say Voyager is a bad show. Well, I'd love to hear actually a more comprehensive review or a more comprehensive description of why you think it's bad, because I believe that your example flabbergasted me. I don't have words to explain how surprising it was that you sometimes... And this is, sometimes you say things that I can't believe you said, because I can't make sense of it. And if you want to explain it to me to make more sense of it, go ahead. I'd love to hear. What I'm talking about is in Season 4 of Voyager, there's an episode called The Killing Game, where this race of aliens they had met before. I believe that this, they had definitely met them before. The Colossians, I think they're called, invades the ship, and they gain control of the ship, and what they do is they start a hologram program, of which it's World War II, and they're basically they're living out the World War II battle. And what surprised me about his comment was he made a comment that the erosions extending the holodeck makes no sense. It's stupid. It's idiotic because the holodeck has never been there's never been an issue of space on the holodeck. And it flabbergasts me that he says something like that for a very, very good reason. The good reason is, yes, he is correct. There has never been an issue of space on the holodeck. Because, and I will be showing the photos of this. First of all is, the photo that should be up right now is going to be a picture of the holodeck off, which is a structured room. It has a certain amount of diameter. There is a certain amount of space. The holodeck is not an unlimited space. He's making it seem like he thinks it should be unlimited. If you were to take 4 people and have them each go, one go north, one go south, one go west, one go east, eventually they would hit an impasse. They would hit walls. All 4 of them would eventually hit walls because the room does actually have ends. Second of all, is most holodeck scenes are 2 to 3 people going in the same rooms, doing the same things, just as a group. Okay? So, he wants me to believe, and everybody else to believe, that it's ridiculous for them to extend the holodeck when there are groups of people in different areas. Of course they would have to increase the holodeck. It makes perfect logical sense. And I just find that so surprising that you would pick that argument, because I think there are arguments, and I think that Voyager did do stupid things. I think all Star Trek shows do stupid things. I just find it funny that you took one thing that I thought was actually very intelligent and well done, and you count that as a problem. But, now getting into the actual Deep Space Nine review, first you go into talking about last season. And one of the first things you bring up is the fact the main villain, Ikot, goes up to Legate Damar, or Goldemar, I don't know what he was. Yeah, I think he was Goldemar at the time. And goes up to him, and he says to him, I don't blame you for my daughter's death, I blame Cisco. And now, Confused Matthews brings up that this is a problem because Captain Sisko had nothing to do with the death. Now, yes, Confused Matthews, you are 100% correct. He had nothing to do with the death. But let's just take an example of a completely different situation and just see what you feel about this, because I feel this is comparable. Let's say that your or that your wife is at home. Your brother calls you up and tells you that he wants you to babysit his kids. So you go babysit your kids' and your wife gets shot. Some people might blame their brother for that incident. Beyond that example, the reason why Gul Dukat does not blame Damar, but he does blame Sisko, is because Sisko is a person he can identify from the Federation. He doesn't know a lot of Federation people. So he's blaming the Federation as a whole, because if the Federation would not have tried to take back Deep Space Nine, his daughter would not have died. And that is plausible. It's his mind trying to set aside that he doesn't blame his friend, because his friend he thinks was in the right. His friend did what he thought was right. Sisko did something that he thought was wrong. Sisko would never try to take back the station. In his mind, Sisko should have just sat there and done nothing, and his daughter would have been alive, and everybody would have been happy, and everything would have been fine. And it's also coming from somebody that's not in a complete right mind. When a tragedy happens, you're not in a stable mind. And you can go into the whole fact that, yes, he healed, but you don't heal from tragedy that quick. Things linger, and who you blame it's all a complex thing, and it's all about choice and all that. Now, beyond that, a lot of the things that they did this season, first of all, is you say that there aren't Satanists. Well, I've met Satanists. I don't have proof that these people exist, but there are people out there that I've actually met who believe that Satan is actually the good one, and God is this evil tyrant that ultimately is trying to do stuff. Very much like that religion. Now, they're nice people and all that, but they believe that Satan is looking out for their common interest. Unlike God, they don't believe God is looking out for their common interests. Saying that the opposite to all religions is atheist, and that there can't be an opposite to the Bajor religion, is stating that you know more than the writers, and that you dictate how the show is being written, because ultimately they made a choice that there was a parallel religion. Now, you do have some say in why did this come when they were separated from the prophets. That might not make sense. I would have to think about that longer. I just finished watching it a day ago, so I didn't really soak in that much. The fire monster people thing I enjoyed, but I think that's more of the whole thing that you're talking about, the hologram, where some people like that hologram, some people don't. Ultimately, I liked the kind of supernatural twist they took with the prophets. I kind of felt they went a little overboard, but I thought it was fun and cool and interesting. I thought it kept it up. With the hologram, it is a matter of opinion. I enjoyed Vic Vonhain. I thought he was enjoyable. I thought the episodes they did with him, some of the episodes were good, some of the episodes were bad. But he kind of became a meeting center, and they kind of do this in most. And I agree with you that it would have kind of been better to keep Quarks. But ultimately, and I do have to state this is nothing to do with your review, but overall, I think Quark should have just been a meeting space. I don't think Quark should have been a main character. I think Quark should have been very much how Whoopi Goldberg was in Next Generation. Just a character you see occasionally, and whenever you're at Quark's, you see Quark. But Quark's not a main character. I think his brother should have actually been... I think Rom should have been the main Ferengi, because Rom, I think, had a more character development than his brother, Quark. Quark was an interesting character, but pouring episode after episode of Quark kind of got boring after a while. Also, Confused Matthews mentions in his review of Season 7 that he did not like the female changeling's response when Odo merged with her, or I forgot what they call it, but when they combine together, and then all suddenly she's healed, and she's like, yes, the war's over. And I find that kind of ridiculous. and not really ridiculous, but I kind of find that weird because, to the best of my knowledge, changelings have always had one thing. Or the founders, not changelings, but the founders have always had one goal. They've always tried to do one thing, and all their motivations have always been driven by this one single goal. To protect founders, to protect other changelings. They have this thing where they like to protect all of their people, even betrayers of their people. And if you don't know this, the founders are dying. They're dying. Thus, her reaction was very, yes, I can save your people, stop the war. That makes sense. Now, there is an overall arcing thing that I thought of is, will the other founders, after they're healed, will they continue to stop the war? I think they will, because I think Odo is going to give them another option, other ideas. But I kind of think that I think it's natural, I think it felt right. And this is one of those things in here that is probably the most clear-cut, they did the right thing kind of thing. This doesn't feel out of place at all for me. I don't know if Confused Matthews has more explanation on why this is out of place, but this felt very natural and very right to me. And I like how they did it, and I like how they ended that storyline. Confused Matthews also mentions the fact that when Gul Dukat, or Dukat at the time that they were calling him, when he put on Bajor-looking makeup to make himself look like a Bajorian, not a Cardassian, that they should have saw right through it. I agree with the voice. His voice did not change at all, and he was so recognizable with his voice. And I have an image that will be here showing both of them, and yeah, he does look similar because it is him without makeup, but it is one of the better, it is a very good makeup job, but one of the best ones they had ever done was actually an Enterprise with the Vulcan, because you look at a picture of her without her makeup, and she looks completely different. I've kind of found that funny. But yeah, I think it is enough where they would believe it. The voice kind of gets me, and this is opinionated, and I don't know, but it's the whole Superman thing. Superman puts on a pair of glasses and combs his hair, and people can't recognize him. Well, he looks completely different. He does look very different. His skin color is different. I mean, there are differences. His nose is a little bit different. His hair is different. There are differences, and I think they wouldn't notice it. But that's my opinion. Now, most of the other stuff you state in your review is completely opinionated. It's you don't like it. Not that necessarily it's bad. There are some things that you bring up that are correct. I don't know. I just watched your review once. I'm not trying to dictate. I'm just trying to give you my side of the argument. I like the season, you dislike the season. I can't dispute opinions, because ultimately you think one thing and I think another thing, and it's not that it's bad or good, it's that you have an opinion of one thing. Obviously, good is good and bad is bad, but a lot of the things you state, you just didn't like the direction they took the show. So that's pretty much all I had to say. This is Goku4071. Please leave a comment or a video response. And Confused Matthews, if you want to do a video response or if you want to do something, I welcome it. If you don't, either way, fine. I like open discussions. I know that you are a polite person and you do not resort to name-calling or rude behavior, so I do applaud you for that. I have seen some of your reviews, and I do applaud you for doing respectful replies, because I know people that reply to me on some of my videos, comments, they put comments on the bottom, and they put these awful, rude things, and I hate that on YouTube. So I do applaud you for being one of the stand-up people, and anybody watching this, go see Confused Matthews videos. They're very entertaining. He knows what he's talking about. He does very, very well put together videos, and they're well done. He might be wrong in some instances, in my opinion, but it doesn't matter. The videos are well done and they're entertaining, and thus I watch his videos constantly because I enjoy him. I disagree with him a bunch, but it does not mean he does not have good videos. This is Goku4071, and see you next time, YouTube.